So this isn't really my normal type of video. I just wanted to go ahead and make it before the Spider-Man game actually comes out, so that if it turns out that I'm right, I can gloat about it and say that I called it ahead of time. So I'm just gonna get straight to the point. I think that Marvel's, Sony's, Insomniac's Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4 is gonna be set in the same universe as Marvel's, Square Enix's, Crystal Dynamics' the Avengers projects. This isn't gonna be like a red circle and arrow video where I'm trying to piece together bits from trailers or whatever to like prove that they're in the same universe. I'm mostly just gonna be talking about corporate synergy and branding and money, you know, all that kind of exciting stuff. So despite being on top of the world in terms of movies, the Marvel franchise has not really had a ton of video games lately. They've had some smaller, you know, like iPhone things and that VR game from a little while ago, but people will forget that there actually were a couple of movie tie-in games for the first couple of movies in the MCU. Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America all got really crappy movie tie-in games that nobody remembers. Then somebody must realize that that was a waste of everybody's time and money, and they just kind of stopped making them. Which brings us around to Marvel's, Sony's, Insomniac's Spider-Man for PlayStation 4, with emphasis on Sony and PS4. Now, as far as I know, there haven't been any official statements about this. I'm just kind of working off of some theories and what makes sense to me from a business standpoint. As many of you, I'm sure, know, Sony Pictures had the rights to the character of Spider-Man in film for the last decade and a half or so, until Marvel and Disney went in and negotiated to get my Spider-Man wall crawler boy back over into their movies so that he could hang out with Robert Downey Jr. and whatnot. But technically speaking, Sony still owns all of those Spider-Man characters. They're kind of just like leasing Spider-Man to the Marvel folks and letting them use him, which is why they still get to do a movie about Venom just kind of off on their own. And it's also why Sony handled all the marketing for Spider-Man Homecoming. It's weird, man. Anyway, we don't know all the conditions of the deals that went down, but I'm willing to bet, seeing as what's going on with this new Spider-Man game, that one of the conditions was, hey, Sony, if you let us use the character, we'll give you the exclusive rights to make Spider-Man video games. Which, you know, if I was on the receiving end of that deal, I would probably start working on a big budget PlayStation 4 exclusive Spider-Man game right away, which apparently they did. But they're being really guarded about the story of this game and who is and isn't in it. And then in some of these trailers, we're getting really brief glimpses of the Avengers Tower and whatever that place is that Doctor Strange and all of his wizard buddies hang out in. Hold on a second. The Sanctum Sanctorum. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And then last year, Marvel announced that they were partnering with Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics for the Avengers project, which was supposedly going to be a multiple game deal. And we basically haven't heard anything about the Avengers project since it was announced, but Crystal Dynamics got taken off of the Tomb Raider franchise, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider was handed off to Eidos, and so now they're working on the Avengers game again, supposedly. And the timing on that deal kind of makes sense to me. If Sony came up the pipeline and said, hey, we want to go ahead and start making a Spider-Man game, and Marvel said, well, they're gonna go ahead and make that Spider-Man game anyway, so maybe we should start getting some of our own big game projects underway to kind of accompany that. And in the same vein, I can't really imagine Marvel saying, okay, Sony, you go ahead and have your own versions of the Avengers and Doctor Strange and whoever else, and we'll have our versions in our games. I mean, I get that one of the big appeals of comics is that you can read, you know, different stories by different authors featuring different versions of different characters, or at least I assume that's part of the appeal. I don't really read comics, but in this modern age of corporate synergy, I can't imagine Marvel wanting to pass up the opportunity to create a shared video game universe with which to cross-pollinate and promote all of their different products. I guess an MVGU, Marvel Video Game Universe? No, Marvel IU, Marvel Interactive Universe. Yeah, that sounds way better. Marvel MVGU sounds dumb. MIU, that sounds pretty good. MIU sounds like college. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, Marvel Interactive Universe. Call me. Disney, call me. I'm available for brand consultation. I don't know, I guess my point is that I feel like it would make a lot of sense if this big Spider-Man game came out and, you know, surprise, it's got Tony Stark and Steve Rogers in it, and hey, do you like this Tony Stark and Steve Rogers? Well, you just gotta buy the Avengers game that's coming out in 2 years from now, and you'll get even more of them. Look, what I'm saying is that these people like money, Making these things take place in the same universe so they can all market for each other, even if the Spider-Man games themselves are exclusive to PlayStation. That's money. And nowadays, shared cinematic universes and story cross-pollination between mediums, it just reeks of money. Anyway, whatever, that's it. I might be barking up the wrong tree on this one, but whatever, I don't care. I'm working on some other videos that will hopefully be vastly superior to this one. I just thought I'd take a little break. I wanted to talk about Spider-Man. I really just hope this game is good.